and I just wanted to do like our lives have been, a little bit of an overview about what's been going on in the garden this week. Um, it's been hot today, record heat. Of course, the last time I was complaining that it was rainy. So I don't know. That's just the life of a gardener, I guess. And we didn't do too much today because it was very, very hot. I did do quite a bit yesterday in the garden. I harvested our first harvest of the sweet corn that I showed in the tour a few days ago. Um, it's a purple husk sweet corn, and the kernels are white. But the cob, actually, after I cooked it, it stained my fingers because it's kind of a purpley color. One cob was like a red pink color. Very pretty corn. It's not super sweet. Um, it's not terrible. It's not corn that I'd say, no, I don't want to grow it again. I want to grow it again just because it was fun in that it stained your fingers. I was thinking, my daughter and I were texting, and I said, oh, we should do a garden tie dye, uh, tie dye some t shirts with the garden, stuff in the garden, the flowers and that corn. The cobs would make a great dye. So she wants to do that. That'll be fun. And then what else did we? I harvested a bunch of yellow squash. I was hoping that we were going to eat it this weekend at some point, but we didn't end up doing that. So that's probably going to be tomorrow night's dinner with, I think that I'm going to do it as like a casserole type thing. Hamburger and cheese and peppers and onions and stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll see. I kind of just throw things together, whatever I have picked from the garden, and make something up. That's generally how I cook anyway. But the cucumbers. Let's talk about the cucumbers. Terrible. Are you guys having trouble with your cucumbers? Because I can't seem to get anything to grow. Um, I harvested, I have 9 plants. Well, I have actually 18 plants, but I think some of them have died over there. So I'm probably down to like 16. Those ones aren't doing very well over there because, like I say, that garden over on that side is a lot more shaded than that garden on that side of the yard. And I am growing them in, longer containers, but I've done that in the past and not had any issue. So, and the variety that I'm growing this year is specific to container growing. So, I think I talked about it before. It's a pickle bush, and the first two that I picked were very, very bitter. I don't think I ended up eating them. And then I put some of our homemade fertilizer. If you haven't seen that video, and I talk about how I put it in any garden material that I cut off, and I just put it in a 5-gallon bucket with some water. A lot like people use comfrey and make a tea. I just do it with whatever I have in the garden that I've cut the leaves off or whatever, mostly leaves. Um, I find that your brassicas and are the best. What was I using this? What have I been using this year that has been really good? So anyway, it gets really, really stinky. Like my husband says, it smells like manure, and probably it does. um, but anyway, I have a short on that, and I think I talked about in a little bit more depth in one of the garden tours. But you can go check those out. And I've been watering that particular container with those cucumbers. They taste better, but it's still really yellow in color. And the other plants just aren't doing much. And in fact, that's the plant that's actually produced more of the cucumbers. Go figure. I don't know. And I think that my plans for the garden next year. So this year, my garden theme was to grow grains. That's my garden theme this year. Grow grains. And oh, actually, we'll talk about that because I did have these are the grains that I've harvested so far. These are wheat berries, hard red wheat. I bought them from a seed store, and they were advertised to me as red fife, and I was they only had like 3 wheat options, some 2 or 3. I think there was 3 at the time. And so I researched all of them that they had. Red fife was a heritage variety that was grown particularly up where in New England, where I'm from. It wasn't like a super popular crop, but I mean, New England states did grow wheat in the early 1800s, I think, and that was one of the varieties was red fife. So I was like, oh, great, that sounds fun. I'm gonna do that. So I bought 2 packages of that. I have 1,000 seeds. I grew 2 pots, but the I'm not really growing it now. The wheat that I had grown this spring was to see if I could grow it in the spring because it was advertised that it's a spring wheat and a winter wheat. Excuse me, I have to close the door because the neighbor's dog's barking. Of course, I'm going to sweat bad because it is hot. Okay. Dirt gets in that track and it closes really hard. So that was another thing that was appealing to me. That particular variety can be grown in the spring or the winter. And then it was a little late that I got it in the mail to sow it as like a winter over the winter. So I waited a little longer, and I planted it. I think it was in the first winter sowing video on here. So check that one out too. And I did that the first day of spring, or that weekend that spring started, that first weekend. And we winter sowed it. And I got a really good handful from those little bits. I mean, that is definitely a good big handful of wheat. And I haven't even harvested all of it yet. So, most of it. I've harvested most of it, but so I sowed it in March as winter sowing, and I started harvesting the first heads in about July, right around the 4th of July. It was looking like I was going to be harvesting it. So I said, well, I'll wait. And so about the last week of July, I think, maybe the last 2 weeks of July, something like that, mid-July, I harvested a few. When I did harvest it, I think that was in one of the garden tours also, I had mentioned that some of the wheat were awnless, and that's the little spike that comes out of each kernel. That hair is called an awn. Or you could say that it's bearded wheat if it has awns or whatever. And I noticed some of them had awns and some of them didn't. And I thought, that's odd. I thought that the red fife didn't have awns. I think I remembered reading that when I was reading about the history of the wheat and the characteristics and blah, blah, blah. I didn't remember what the photos looked like when on the seed site. So I went back to the seed site, looked at the photos. Their wheat had awns. And I thought, that's odd. I said, well, maybe it's just a stock photo. And so I Googled, does red fife, oh, no, I said, is red fife wheat awnless? And it is. Red fife wheat doesn't have awns. It does have 3 or 4 is acceptable, right at the very top. So I thought, all right, well, what is this wheat that is growing in here that has awns? And I'm really still not exactly sure, but I think that it's also a hard red wheat. And I think that it's a turkey red or a red turkey wheat. I don't remember which exactly how you say it, but I think that's what it is because it definitely looks very similar. So anyway, we've been harvesting wheat. That's been pretty fun. I'm really very surprised at the little bit that we sowed in a few videos back in the spring, how much I have gotten. So that also has been a great learning experience in that this fall, when I plant wheat, which I think I'm going to plant the wheat that has the awns, the bearded wheat, because that is specifically a winter wheat. So I looked that up, and you sow your wheat about the same time that you're sowing your garlic. So I sow my garlic generally here around mid-October during, the holiday in mid-October. So that's probably when I'm going to sow my wheat. I don't know if I should start it maybe and get it, up to a certain size and then plant for that weekend to plant it out or not. I don't know. But if anybody's grown winter wheat, definitely let me know. So the chickens are going to have a lot of wheat to eat. And then I cut my garlic off of the scapes, off of the stalks. So I'll get that into some container. Oh, and I gotta be very careful because they keep falling off. But I think we also talked about this. These little bow bills on the top of the garlic, the few scapes that I didn't get to get cut off, they're falling off. But they literally look like little garlic, little tiny baby garlics. I was thinking maybe we could do sewing on the live here, but I can't get it pointed down. I don't know. I need some better equipment. I'm just using my phone and you're sitting on a pile of pots. That's literally all I've been using. So yeah, I think I gotta find out if I should be planting these little bow bills because they're gonna lose a ton of moisture if I wait until fall. I probably should be planting those now, and I might just put them in a pot, something like this size, and get those sprouted and maybe plant them. Well, I don't really want them up too high because when winter does come, it's gonna freeze off whatever's grown. That's gonna be something I'm gonna have to look into. All right, so Maybe I'll just put those in a paper bag and in the refrigerator or something. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Oh, I have been trimming up the mums, fertilizing the mums. They look really good. Maybe I'll do a tour here in another day or two and show you guys what those are looking like. They're looking really good. And I put those out on my farm stand, and I sell those just for a few dollars. 5 maybe. I have some bigger pots. I might do 10, but basically $5. I think that's about all that I've been doing this week. Tending the chickens, waiting for the eggs. Like, come on, they're like 20 weeks old now. Where are those eggs? They should be laying any day, honestly, but they're so dang cute. You should go look at some of the videos where I'm putting them either to bed or taking them out in the morning. I think I did one the other day, and I was putting them in their tractor for the day. And they were so naughty. They generally are naughty in the morning. The nighttime move back to their coop, they generally are really good, and they're ready to go get their feed, which generally is their chicken treats. They get seeds and all that kind of stuff. So they like to get in there, and I throw it out, and they peck around, and they like that. So they look forward to that. So that move is always a pretty good move. So it's been fun hanging out with you guys tonight. So if you have any advice, please let me know in the comments, because I don't know how to grow any this I was gonna say rice, because I was checking on the rice right before the live. I have rice growing too. We were talking about grains, right? So and the corn that I'm growing is also going to be a grain that's going to be part of the chicken feed. So that's really what was my goal this year, was to grow grains. The corn is going to be the base with the wheat in their feed. I don't think I'm going to have enough wheat for this year to get through the winter, but I'm going to save that seed that I'm growing, and I don't think the rice is going to be part of their feed. But when I started this in my grains journey, I didn't have chickens, so I just was growing the rice because I thought it was something cool. I think I mentioned it in one of the lives that it was like Bree the plant lady or something like that, and she was growing rice as her centerpiece in her containers. That's what was like sparked my interest, and I was like, oh, that's really pretty, even as a decorative plant in the garden. So I just thought it would be something different that I could offer to my clients as a centerpiece in their containers on their patios or out front. So I hope that it's sunny where you are, and that we're growing together, and I'll see you in a few days, probably on the next garden tour.